Hi, everyone. Dorothea Hendricks here, your coach in communications and presentation skills and the art of speaking. Today, I have a very special guest. I know usually I talk about presentation tips and public speaking, but today I have a very special guest. I am honored and pleased to have Dr. Madeline Ann Lewis. Dr. Lewis is the president and CEO of the Executive Women's Success Institute. She's an international TEDx speaker. She's an international best-selling author. She's the creator of the online course, Crack the Career Code, Unlock the Amazing Power Within to Lead with Confidence, Charisma, and Credibility. She's host of the Success for Women radio TV show, career strategist, trainer, speaker, and business consultant. She is one amazing woman. She's won so many awards. Here are just a few. The Joe Mans Black Wall Street 2022 Award, and she's also on the 2022 Veteran Champions of the Year in Corporate America list. The Veteran Champions Corporate list honors 30 champions. This is 30 champions from across the United States who advocate for U.S. veterans in the civilian workforce. She's received the Acquisition International 2022 Most Empowering Woman Success Coach Award, the Enterprising Woman of the Year, and the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce Businesswoman of the Year Award. And she was selected by the Minority Enterprise Executive Council for the 50 Women of Power in Business Award. An amazing woman with a list of accolades that just go on and on. Let's welcome Dr. Lewis. So glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be on your platform. And let me just say that international TEDx speaker and international best-selling author is all because of you. And so it's an honor to be here to talk to you and just share with your audience.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Lewis. I was the coach for Dr. Lewis when she did her TEDx talk. But ultimately, it comes down to the person themselves on how they decide to push themselves forward. But thank you so much for mentioning that. I have a few questions for you that might help other women who are listening, and guys too, if they've tuned in. And that is, you know, Dr. Lewis, you had an amazing career in the corporate sector. You rose up in the military. You ended up having security, really good income, pension. You had it all, so to speak. And then what you did is you decided to branch out and become an entrepreneur, go into business for yourself. Number one, why did you do that? And number two, what was the biggest challenge you had in moving from the security and comfort of having a good job into the, well, you know, the unknown of being an entrepreneur?
Well, I started my business because of my passion for helping women. And as I was going through my career and, you know, in corporate America and civilian federal government and the military, women, I just didn't see a lot of women helping other women up the ladder. And I just thought that wasn't good. And I wanted to know why. I was curious as to why women wouldn't help each other up. A lot of times it's because they didn't want to seem like they were showing favoritism. So you know, that was one of the reasons that I got, but I still thought that was unacceptable. And so for me, being able to help women, to see women progress in their careers and just flourish, there is nothing better than to be able to see that. And I think the biggest challenge that I had when I first started my business was just making sure that I didn't get tunnel vision. I wanted to make sure that when there was, you know, an opportunity or a way to step out and to be able to bring something into the business to help other women, that I did that I didn't, you know, sort of hold back. Like I tell other women, don't hold back and don't shrink back. So I wanted to make sure that when I saw this, I didn't get afraid of if it was a new technology or something that I could implement that would help them. And so for me, I think that was the biggest challenge with going into business, making sure that I focused on what I needed to focus on to bring the information and the technology or whatever I needed to bring into the business that would help other women to flourish.
And that's good advice, because sometimes we get into overwhelm. We just see so many things. And so it's kind of saying, well, this is what I need one step at a time. And this is what I need to put into practice first, the second thing. And then, because you know what the end result is that you're looking for. Your mission, Dr. Lewis, is to help women accelerate their path to success.
Mhm.
And that's your mission. And yet you just said a few minutes ago that you didn't see a lot of women helping other women. What do you mean by that? Would they sabotage each other or just not give each other support? What did you see that made you feel it was really important to you to get out there and help women move forward?
Well, some of all of the above. Some women, believe it or not, they, if they see that you're doing a good job and they feel like, oh, she's trying to take, in some cases they think she's trying to take my job. But my thinking is always that if you're in a high ranking position, then you should be training someone to take your position. To me, that's the essence of a good leader. And so I didn't see women doing that. And like I said, in some cases they were sabotaging. I remember when I was with the federal government and I had just started in this position. And as I was there for a little while, I started looking around and I saw some of the ladies had been there for a while. And I thought, wow, I can't believe they've been here like 10, 15 years doing the same thing, not wanting to move. And so I saw a position that was on the board and I decided to apply for it. And I went to the supervisor, to let her know what I was doing. And what she said to me was, oh, well, you haven't been here long enough to apply for that. And I don't think you have the skills for that. So I'm thinking, okay, she's the leader of this division. She's a supervisor. Then maybe she knows what she's talking about. Well, what I realized later on is that she said that to me because she applied for the same position. She wanted the position. And so I would imagine she did not want the competition. And that I think is something that women should get over. There should not be competition. There should be you supporting me supporting you, and we each keep moving so that others coming behind us could keep moving. And so I think that was a really really shocking lesson for me to learn, but it was a good one also, because at that point I never, whenever I saw a position that I felt I was qualified for, then I applied for it without getting anyone's, okay, yeah, you can go ahead and do this type of information from them, after what she did, which I thought as a female, it should have been the support of me, maybe saying something like, hey, I'm thinking of applying for the same position. May the best person win. Let's maybe even work together and see if I can't get it, then yes, you get it. And that, to me, that's support. That's what women should do, not try to pull each other down like the crabs in the barrel.
Yeah. An interesting experience that you had, because I'm sure there are women out there, and I'll include myself, who've experienced very similar, right? Now, what I find interesting is you were driven because you moved forward. You didn't let that supervisor put you down or make you feel bad so that you withdrew,
Mhm.
right? You just kept on moving. What do
Absolutely.
you think for many women is the biggest roadblock for them moving forward in their career, achieving that success that they want? Is it always the other person, do you think, or does it have something to do with themselves, how they feel about themselves?
It's not always the other person. I think a lot of times women don't move forward because of a lack of confidence. We always tend to doubt our skills and our abilities. We don't, if we look at a position and we can't check all the boxes on, that position is asking for, then we won't apply. But a man will look at that same position and he will say, oh, I can do number one, number three, and maybe number four, but the other six things that's on there, he doesn't worry about it. He'll apply for it anyway,
Mm-hmm.
because he feels like if I can do one or two of them, then maybe I can learn the other, or I will find someone in that area that will help me to get there. Women don't think like that. And it's like, I think the lack of confidence in our own abilities, not being assertive enough, to push forward and know that we can do it. and that you don't have to always have 100%. Like I said, women think they need to have 100% of the skills or requirements they need, when men will look at it the same thing and feel like I only need 60% and I'm going to apply for it. I
Hmm.
mean, what's the difference? It's the same posting, it's the same, you know, position. So why would we look at it and see it differently than the men would look at it and see it?
Good question. A good point. What do you think? You mentioned women lacking confidence and not being assertive enough. What can women do? And you've worked with hundreds, if not thousands of women as a coach, doing workshops, training. What, from your experience, can women do to actually build that confidence, get that feeling of esteem, self-esteem, know that when they see those boxes, they don't need to tick them all in order to apply to move forward? Can you give us maybe one or two tips that the women can do to help themselves in those regards and confidence and self-esteem?
Well, I think the confidence, that is something that has to come from within. And they can't start out looking at everything from a negative point of view. Like I said, when they look at a position and feel like I can't do this or I can't do that, well, look at your background. And sometimes everything is not, all your skills aren't just from that position that you're in. Some of your skills comes from life experience. Some of your skills comes from when you volunteer at another organization that's outside of where you work. So I think with the confidence part, that's something that a lot of us have to work on, to make sure that we know that we have skills, we have the abilities, we have the know-how, and that we are valued. And I think when, say, for example, with the supervisor, which she said to me, if I had taken that literally to say, oh, well, she said I shouldn't apply for that because she didn't think I had the skills to do it. What if I had said to myself, well, no, you don't have, maybe you should just stay here like the rest of them and be here for the next 10, 15, 20 years doing the same thing. If I had thought that way, I would still probably be sitting in a dead end position. And so I think the confidence has to, it's really a critical part of anything that you do. You have to have confidence. If you don't know how to speak in front of a lot of people, then you have to build that confidence up. Like for example, when I did the TEDx talk, that was that was a push for me. And that's why it was such a great thing to know that I had such a support behind me, like you and Roger. I mean, having that support is great. And that's why I tell women too, they have to build a support network, because that will help you to keep your confidence. When you can have the support of someone who will say to you, yes, you can do that. You have what it takes. Your work is valuable. This organization does need you. Don't limit yourself and don't doubt yourself, for one. So I think that when I say about the women and accelerating their path to success, that's the one thing we always work on, that confidence, to make sure that they don't doubt their skills and abilities. Because if there's something that you're weak in, then we can look at that and see what you need to do to make it stronger. And that's the attitude that they should have, that I can do it. If this person across the way from me did it, I can do it too, because that person is no better than I am. And if they can do it, I can do it. And I think that's the attitude that a lot of women need to hold on to make sure that, because as a leader, remember that confidence is what's going to have the people looking to you for information, looking to you for advice. And if you're not confident in yourself, do you really think anyone wants to hear what you have to say?
Oh, probably not. Probably not, right?
Decisions
That,
that you make? No.
that confidence oozes out everywhere. So in a way, it's a mindset. And so
Mhm.
for just out of curiosity, I find for myself, because I've had to work a lot on my confidence over the years,
Mhm.
that I do a lot of affirmations. And there are sometimes I just need to say, if I'm going out speaking somewhere or doing something that I've not done before, I have to do what I think Tony Robbins does behind the stage. I have to go, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it, right? And I psych myself up, right? And get myself really going. Do you do that as well?
Oh, absolutely. Because you have to, like I said, you have to reinforce. It has to come from within, but you also have to reinforce it. And like you said, affirmations, I have all types of things. Sometimes I might, especially if I'm going to do something for the first time, I will have affirmations all over the place. I mean, I may have an entire book of affirmations just so that I can make sure that I am boosting myself, because I think that I always say I don't need a whole lot of people to motivate me. And I think that's it too. You have to learn how to motivate yourself, to push yourself. And like you said, the affirmations, those are great. If people don't have them, they need them. Like I said, sometimes I stick them on the mirror, in the bathroom, wherever I know I need to see it. If I'm going or about to start something or do something that I have not done before, I need that inspiration for myself. Yes.
Yeah. I think for so many of us, we need to keep ourselves motivated, and whatever way we find that it can work. I find affirmations, doing treasure maps, doing different things just to remind myself. Because ultimately, like when you said earlier, the confidence comes from within. So often we look outside, we want somebody else to validate us and give us this credibility, but we can't. It has to come from with us, right? Within us, right? So, what gave you the idea to do, well, two questions here,
Mhm.
because you have the Executive Women's Success Institute, but you also now took the plunge to be on the TEDx stage. Why did you want to do that? And has it helped you in any way?
You know what? When I first thought about doing TEDx or just getting the training for it, for me, it was just to help enhance my speaking skills. I would go out and I would speak on different places, do training, different things like that. But I felt like when I looked at some of the TEDx videos of the women that had was doing them, and they were on this big stage and in this big red dot, and I'm thinking, wow, that really takes a lot to be able to stand up there, and you're basically talking about a topic that you're passionate about, something that you feel really good about, or that you feel you want to make an impact. And so when I started the journey of the TED Talk, it was really just to build my speaking skills. I had no idea that it would wind up the way it has, where not only did I get to speak in Canada on the stage in Canada, but the my video has gone to it's past 152,000 views, and I'm hoping to reach 1 million. Now that is my vision, to reach 1 million plus out there, to have them to view, because the comments that I got on it, another thing was that I had comments like, oh wow, I wish I had heard this information when I was in the workplace, are great. Such great comments on the topic that I talked about, which was show up to rise up. But doing it was such a boost, not only for my speaking, because I've gotten a lot more speaking engagements because of that, but also because of it has helped my business too. Because I have literally had people who come to me because they looked at that TEDx talk.
Mhm.
And like I said, when I started that journey, I did not have that in mind. I really didn't. So it has been great for my speaking, getting speaking gigs, and it has been great for boosting my business. And it has literally put me on a global platform, because I had my show, the Successful Women Show, that I was doing on Thursdays. And I got a call one day and asked if I could be on another platform on Fridays, which is a much bigger platform, where the viewing is goes out a lot further. And not only that, they play my video all the time during commercials.
How cool is that? Oh, I'm so proud. I'm so proud. Just congratulations on that, Madeline. You know what I find amazing is that here we are. We are in 2023.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, just a few months going into 2023, and probably we'll go into 2024. And when we look at our past, where we've been, there is still the issue, the same old issue of women wanting to rise up, having that confidence, that ability. Do you think we'll ever reach the stage where there won't be a difference? A man can apply and a woman can apply, and, they'll both feel confident and they'll both feel secure in themselves that they've got the skills. Will we ever reach that, do you think? What can we do for the younger women, the girls in our schools, to help them when they get into the workforce?
Well, you know what? I hope that it could be like that. I really do hope that we would get to a point where everything is on an equal scale, the playing field is level. I really hope that we could get there. I think the only thing that we as women can do for the younger women that's coming behind us is give them the support that they need and to show them, like we talked about the confidence, to show them how to increase their confidence to and I think doing to supporting them in their ventures, supporting them in when they come to you and they want you to maybe look at something that they've written or look at something, a promotion package that they're applying for a position, help them with it. Don't just brush them off or maybe say tell them that they can't do this, because even if they don't get the position, it's still a learning, it's a to me it's a learning curve for them. They can see, okay, I didn't get it this time, but I can find out what I need to do or what I need to work on to get it the next time. But if you shut them down, they're never going to think I can still keep moving forward. They're going to start taking a step back, and that's, I think, what we need to get better at is helping each other as women, helping and pulling each other up, and especially that younger generation that's coming in after us.
In a conversation that I had with you before, we've spoken a lot. One of the things that I noticed that you've done that I will say I haven't always done, I've begun to do later on,
Mhm.
as I was doing different things in my career. But what you mention is that if you don't get it, find out why. Like, what is it that you can do to put yourself into the position next time to be able to ace it? Because
Mhm.
sometimes, and I find often, even talking to different people, they just go, I didn't get it, and they drop the ball.
Exactly.
Asking the question, what is it? Why didn't I? Is actually what can help you move forward. And that's something I notice you do a lot, don't you?
Yes. And I think that came for me when I was working for South Central Bell in New Orleans, and that was before they split into all these baby bells. But I had been there for 8 years and I got laid off. And when I got laid off, I couldn't figure out why. And it was right after Christmas and right before New Year's. And I kept thinking, well, I know it's not my work performance, and I just I couldn't figure out what it was. And I wanted to know because there were others who had come in after me that was not laid off. And I knew that. And what I found out was too, from a friend of mine, who she was in a high she used to work at the time she worked at South Central Bell, but she had then moved on to another higher position at one of the larger hotels in New Orleans. So I contacted her and we sat down and we talked about it. And I just told her, I said, I just can't figure out what happened. Why did they do this? And basically, though, she wanted to know if I had a mentor or coach while I was there, and I had to admittedly say no. And she told me, she said, "Well, that's one of the reasons too." She said, "Because you didn't have anyone to help you navigate the obstacles." She said, "You didn't have anyone that would let you know that this was coming down the pike and you could move over into another division, one that was not laying individuals off." And so I think that's why I push the fact, like I said, with the confidence and making sure you move forward. But also, if you don't get it, don't give up. But if you don't get it, find out why,
Mhm.
because you need to know that why so that you can fix it the next time. Work on it in between until that position, maybe something similar comes up again. If it's a skill and you need to go back to school just for, to pick up another skill or to get stronger in
Yeah.
what you have. I mean, when I way back when I was really intimidated about standing in front of people speaking, I went to Toastmasters. Toastmasters, a lot of organizations already have them in their organizations. If not, there are chapters all over the place,
Mhm.
you know, that you can learn to speak and be comfortable in front of an audience. And they start you off small with a small speech, then a larger one, then a little larger, so that you could get comfortable. So, whatever it is, that's why I say you need to know the why if you don't
Mhm.
get it, so that if it's something you need to work on, you can work on it.
I think that is critical. That's critical information for all of us to know the why. If you don't know the why, then you'll just step into the same pothole next time. You'll be making the same mistake. You mentioned about mentor. So do you have a mentor or did you get a mentor after that in the next position that you got?
Oh, yes. Oh, Dorothea, please let me just tell you, when she said that to me, the next position that I got after I had been there a couple months, that was the first thing I started doing, looking for someone who was doing what I wanted to do so that they could be my mentor. And I tell you what, uh, is is something that a lot of, especially women, don't feel or don't take advantage of. But I can tell you in my career and even in the military, women were started asking me how was I moving. When I started moving and getting promoted and reaching these different levels, they wanted to know why. But that was because of the influence of some of the mentors that I had. They will see skills in you that you don't see in yourself. They can give you advice on things that you need to do that you may not even have thought about. Now, I always say a mentor is not there to find you a position, but they are there to guide you in different areas,
Mhm.
especially sometimes to help build on some of your strengths and on some of your weaknesses too. And so I had mentors all after that point, after the layoff. I had
Mhm.
mentors and coach all through my career. And I still have mentors. I still have coaches, even in business. I have them because I think that it's a valuable asset to have, to be able to bounce an idea off of someone, or just to be able to, hey, this is what I'm doing. Just have that again, that support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if when it comes to a mentor, have your mentors always been women or have they been men and women?
Oh, and that's an interesting question. I'm glad you asked me that. Your mentor does not have to look like you. I will say that they do not, it does not have to be a man, does not have to be a woman, and they do not have to, a mentor for me does not always have to be Black. So my mentors, I've had all types of mentors. I've had people that came to me and said, hey, I want to help you on this project because I know that you can do a good job. So here's what we're going to do as a strategy. When I was in the military, I had an officer to come to me and he asked me a question. He said, Madeline, he says, what do you want to get out of the military? Well, I'm still kind of young. I said, well, I just want to travel all around the world and I want to get my education paid for. And so he told me, he says, well, what about, being promoted and moving up the ranks? I said, well, yeah, I want to do that too, because like I said, at the time, I didn't really know any better. And so he sat down with me. He says, so here's what you're going to do while you're in the military. This is what I want you to do. He says, whenever you move into a new unit, I want you to get that specialty from that unit. And that's what I did. And believe it or not, because I did that, I wound up having specialties, which they call it military operational specialties, MOS for short, because the federal government has an acronym for everything. And every unit that I moved in, I got the training and I got the specialty. That is why I was able to be promoted and reach the rank of sergeant major. Because of that, I had a civil affairs MOS. I had intelligence MOS. I was a trainer. I had the trainer MOS. You know, I was teaching the Army's leadership programs to the soldiers so that they could be promoted. And because of what he said to me. And you know what? It was because he sat down and he talked to me and he was so serious about it. I didn't take it for granted. I took that advice to heart. And because of that, everywhere I went, even in civilian positions, I would make sure I got the training. I went above and beyond the training that just for that position. I would always get something else. I remember when I was with, and I don't know if I ever told you that I worked for the FBI. When I was with them, I was actually on their recruitment team, and people started coming to me. How did you get on the on the FBI's recruitment team? I didn't even, and a couple of them said, I didn't even know we had a recruitment team. I said, it was on the website, and all you had to do, if you do your research in the organization that you work for, you would have seen it. And I used to go out to the different colleges recruiting individuals to come and work for the FBI. So it's like you have to make sure that you have your skills, and that's another part I think that helps with the confidence. When you have skills, when you have abilities, and you know what you know that you know that you know, no one can take that from you. Yes, you will, as a woman, always be challenged when you stand up in front of people to even give a talk or to do training. Someone in that audience is gonna try and challenge you, but you know that information.
Mhm.
So never let it intimidate you. So always get as many, you know, credential skills and just hone your skills and definitely stay up on your industry, your particular industry.
Yeah.
So
Oh, thanks so much, Madeline. It's interesting. The takeaway that I have here is always, if you don't get what you want, ask why, find out why. The other thing that I find that fascinates me and that you do so well is that you just don't listen to one person. You actually, and the key word here is that you mentioned research. So often I find somebody will say something to somebody who wants something or wants to move up a position, and they listen to someone else without diving into the research, without going further to find out what's another way I can do this, what else do I need, and they just let somebody else head them off at the career path.
yeah.
So, you know, do the research, ask the questions. If there is one piece of information before we sign off you could give to women everywhere aspiring regardless of the age, what would that one piece of advice be?
That one piece of advice would be to not give up on yourself, to not doubt yourself. And like I said, build that support network because you need it. You need it in your career, you need it in business, you need it in your overall life. So just make sure that the most important thing is to not ever doubt yourself or your abilities, and definitely have that support network.
Now, sounds valuable information. And I think for all of us, regardless of where we are in our career or what age we are, what position we hold. So you have an ask. There's something coming up for you. Can you just share what that is?
Oh, yeah. It's my 1 million women webinar that I am doing. And in this webinar, it's going to be from February the 27th through March the 3rd, every night at 8 p.m. And I'm just going to talk about some of the things that we talked about here today. We're going to talk about everything from your confidence, from your skills and abilities, to the missing ingredient that women have in their career planning and not getting it to, to completely move forward. So we're going to just discuss those things that may be keeping you stuck in your career and holding you back from moving forward. Because with people, a lot of women now working from home, they're doing the remote working. It's hard sometimes to be acknowledged. It's hard to be recognized. So you have to make sure that you're staying in the forefront, that you're in front of those leaders, the ones that making the decision. You have to make sure that you're still standing out, even from home, if that's where you're working from. And so we're going to be talking about all those things. Again, it's from February 27th through March the 3rd at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if anyone wants to register for it or find out more information, they can email me at info@exwsi.com.
Okay, do you want to repeat that, Madeline, just in case somebody's writing it down?
That's info@exwsi.com.
Okay, thanks so much, Madeline. And I'm going to say here, making yourself visible. So important that we make ourselves visible, which is one of the things I just took away from that. So again, for everybody, join Dr. Madeline Ann Lewis for the 1 Million Women Rise Up webinar, which goes from February 27th to March 3rd. Learn how you can get your career on track, even if you're working from home. So hope to see you there. Thank you so much, Dr. Lewis. It's been a pleasure. It's been a treat. Learned a lot. And let me just sign off right now saying, wishing everyone success, and let's rise up and move our career in the direction that we want. Success is ours. So here's to you, Madeline. Thank you so much. And to everybody else, happy, wishing success to all.